morning. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order, and there were no decisions made in the executive session, although Amanda has a position open with 3 very qualified individuals applying for the position, and Amanda will be making the hire next week of one of those individuals. Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. Eddie Schultz.
Okay. I'll hand these out. Read them carefully because they cost $19,488.
Sure, I won't touch that.
Can I frame it?
It's yours. I don't care what you do. Here's one for Jeff too. So you can go over those at your
Well, I've read some of it, but it's
when
all
you
very
have time. Oh yeah, I left you one the other day, didn't I?
We better get that one back. They're gold plated.
So can you sum this up for us?
They just had a few minor things to fine tune things going forward to make it easier for us and Sun Porch and everything, and that's what you want to glean from these kind of audits, if there's something that we can
Yeah, I was just,
fine tune and smooth it out.
as long as there isn't any major red flags that we've got to
Yeah.
tackle, you can expect that.
Yes. So you want to take some information for that kind of investment. So our budget is getting behind because of the excess in, contract nursing. March and April were really high. Now it's kind of leveling out again, well, anyway, we're continuing our battle with staffing, because that costs about double what the regular nursing, if you've got one hired on staff. And we've been through several things when they had to self-quarantine for 14 days, and, when we're right at all the time, we've got some contract nursing, so anytime we have to pull somebody off for 14 days, that replacement is almost always contract nursing. So you can see what that does to us.
In reference to your staff, where are you short at? What are you looking for as far as staff goes? Aides?
About everything.
Everything.
They need CNAs and CMAs. I think right now their RNs are probably okay.
So your senior nursing staff is pretty well
Seems
set.
to be,
Still full?
Yes. As of Wednesday. So, and then on that west wing, they've been having sewer troubles, and they think they might have to cut some of the floor out and do some work there, but whatever it is, the guy from McDonald is going to run a camera through it. Maybe he has. We okayed that Wednesday, and so maybe he's done that, but anyway, it'll just have to be fixed, but I want that on your radar. And then I've got a question on insurance. Do you know if there's full coverage on property damage? Replacement cost. See, this roofing bid, it gives the total cost, and then there's depreciation, and actual cash value is what they paid us, which was enough to do what we did, but I think that's something that you need to check on, because if there was a disaster, I think you'd be more comfortable with actual cash value, with replacement value. So I don't know, because see, they paid, that was about 70% that they paid. but we went back with the asphalt shingles, which they recommended. They said for that application, the slopes and the different valleys and stuff, see, they had, years ago, had put that metal roof on, and these adjusters, one was from Kansas City, and they knew their stuff, and they recommended not going back with that.
With the metal.
Yeah, don't go back with metal.
So the 70% paid it?
Yes. But I think you just need to sort that out and know for sure whether it is.
Because I seen some of that stuff that they took off, and that was pretty rotten,
Yeah,
probably because it was too flat.
yeah.
Well,
So
We'll have to do some
anyway,
jive,
if there's
assume it's just
if
the
there's a
roofing
big
portion.
claim, why,
Yeah, we
That
want our
replacement
entire value back,
costs.
yeah.
so. And then, is the Mapes and Miller at 1:30, is that open? Can I come ask a couple
Yes.
questions? Because I'm having trouble keeping up with these reports out of the treasurer's office. These are brand new, just got them 2 days ago, but there's been no 2020 distributions entered in that Fund 150, which is non-payment. And so it's hard for me to try to follow and track what's going
Where
on
it's, yeah,
when they're several months behind in their posting.
yeah.
Because I do try to track this stuff, you're all well aware of, but, so anyway, I got a couple of questions with Nathan Miller, if that's okay.
Yeah, he's supposed to be here at 1:30.
All right, very good. So I guess that's all I've got. Enjoy.
We will. Thanks, Eddie. We're disappointed they didn't bring us something to read.
You want to take this one back, Eddie? Save yourself some money. I've got, like I said, I still got that other one.
I've got a machine, if nothing else, I can save the binder. All right, thank you for your time.
We'll see you this afternoon. Well, good morning, Mr. Pinka.
Good morning. So
Miss Riley.
I'm not here to advocate one way or the other, but I do need to ask this question just so I can make my plans for next year. So Kansas State Department of Education and Kansas Association of School Board have been, I've been having weekly meetings, sometimes multiple times a week with them to go over plans for reopening for next year. So basically and this is the most up-to-date information, I've been sending some emails to Leslie just to help me interpret them because there's some legal jarble in all this and so forth. And where we stand right now, all counties, and granted this can change next week because the Attorney General is expected to be making some sort of announcement they said at the beginning of this week, they said either late this week or early next week. So either today or sometime next week, he's expected to be making an announcement and things could change. But where we are at right now, all districts, according to Executive Order 2059, all school districts and students will have to follow 3 criteria. They'll have to wear masks in school, that we'll have to wash hands once an hour, and we'll have to try to do 6 feet social distancing when applicable. 2 of those 3 we have every intention of doing no matter what. One of those 3 is still up in the air, which is the mask. So for us to even have an opportunity, I have to come to you guys and you, according to our attorneys, would have to specifically say, and this is this is the main part her and I've discussed is you guys would have to specifically say that Cheyenne County is going to opt out of the Executive Order 2059. Like I said, I'm not advocating one way or the other, but to be able to best prepare for next year, I thought I would come in here and ask that question just so that way I can plan going forward.
Well, as a group of county commissioners, we rely on our county attorney for any illegal advisement
I do as well, and I'm not
going forth, because she's much more qualified than we are.
Oh,
Now-
I know what her recommendation is, and I'm fine with that. I just feel that at least need to specifically ask the question.
And one thing we need to avoid is our personal feelings about this.
Exactly.
We need to follow whatever rules are applicable to us. And we can't afford, as county commissioners, to step out of bounds. So based on that, Leslie has some information she's going to share with us about there's some discrepancies between.
Can I ease
Sure.
your transition real quick?
Sure.
If I was sitting in your chair, because my role is very, very similar to your guys' role, this would be an easy answer for me. My answer would be, no, we are not going to opt out of it and put the liability onto us in the county. But I think that I do need to answer. I just had to ask the question.
And we appreciate that, we really do, because there's so much misinformation out there too. Anyway, I'll let Leslie.
Yeah, well, the situation as we have it now is that when it comes to school districts are autonomous because they have their own elected governing board. They have their own budget. They have the state, school board, and they have their own rules, regulations, policies, etc. They are autonomous. And because they are autonomous with their own elected governing board, the county commissioners do not have jurisdiction over a school district. And so any decision that the schools make through their governing board is not reviewable by the commissioners because they need to be able to maintain their autonomy so that they can make the decisions as they see fit. Now, what we have at this point is there was Executive Order 2052, and 2052 was the statewide mandate in regards to masks. And the commissioners decided that they did not want to have that mandate in place for Cheyenne County. So they opted out of 2052, which required masks in Cheyenne County, because House Bill 2016 says that they can do that. Now, wherein lies the rub is that Executive Order 2059 is specific to schools.
Correct.
And because it is specific to schools and is not necessarily, and is not countywide, though it affects countywide residents, the commissioners don't have that jurisdiction to come in and opt out of that 2059 based on the way things stand right now. And so that's why, they have done what they can to help the schools in regards to we are not going to require masks. That's what they have said. We are not going to require masks. But the governor has decided to come out with this executive order specifically to schools and saying, okay, here are the requirements. Now, I understand that Attorney General Schmidt has been out giving interviews in regards to the status of the matter. And I think there's a misinterpretation. And until he comes out with whatever this opinion is going to be, I'm working off the way things have been and how they are. But I think there's a confusion in regards to, in order for a school to take action, because of Executive Order 2052, if the county commissioners have not opted out of 2052, saying we are not going to require the mask countywide, the school can take no action.
And so what my attorneys have explained with that, and please know that I'm not, with my job, I don't get the luxury of having a strong opinion one way or the other. I have to just try to gather all the facts and keep my bias out of it. According to our attorneys, they do say that specifically we would have to say we were opting out. So, and I know that there's a rub, and trust me, we had this conversation already where every day we're getting told something
Exactly.
different. This is
And
the
if
most
you-
up-to-date information that I would have, and just to make plans. And having spoke with you, I kind of knew what your guys' recommendation would be, and if I was in your shoes, I would be making the same recommendation. But I still felt that I needed to ask, just so I can plan for next year.
Right, but
and
if
we
you-
need
if
to
you
wear
read-
masks, I'm good with that.
the commissioners are not making that decision. They've already said you don't have to wear masks
No,
in Cheyenne
we're
County.
not.
But I can say, based on legal, and I know we discussed this too, KASB and KSDE is trying to shift the liability away from schools to the county is what they're trying to do. And I'm aware of that. I mean, they
Right.
don't specifically say that, but if you can read between the lines at all, that's 100% what they're doing. They're
Are
just
they trying to
to
shift it to the county or to the counties, or to?
well, what they're saying is by
the
shifting to
school
the
board.
county, they're shifting it from the school to the county. But because if you guys opt out of it, we can say that we're following your recommendation. But they're saying the caveat is if the attorney general comes out and says legally we can do this, then it shifts the blame all the way off of us to the state, and then so nobody in any county will have to worry. As of right now, I've only found 4 school districts, 4 counties that have said that and 2 of these are complete rumor, that have said they were. Almost every, like when the governor came out with Executive Order 2052, I mean, it was 80 some counties came out and said, we're not mandating masks. So far, the nearest one to us, Scott County, is the only one that I've found that has said that their county came out and said that we are going to opt out of Executive Order 2059. And then, what is it, Brown and, I don't know, there's like Nemasha or something, wherever
Nemaha.
Sebesta's at. And then Butler was a 5-5 vote for theirs, and they were going to.
And that's the rest of, in regards to my research, I have reached out to other county attorneys in regards to what their belief system is in regards to how it stands right now. Because another thing you need to keep in mind is once that door is open, whereby they're saying that the county commissioners have jurisdiction over the school, then where does that stop? I mean, if they can come in and affect this decision, which really should be a school board decision, then where does that stop?
And I think the reason that they're doing this is their loophole, because as of right now, the governor is saying the schools, and we don't. The schools do not have the authority to be able to override this. Only a county technically could, and like you said, they're kind of overstepping.
And I think that's because the way in which House Bill 2016 was written, they made that specific to counties or county commissioners in regards to opting out of executive orders, failing to take into account, oh, wait a minute, we've got school districts that have their own governing boards that need to have some sort of authority to come in and make decisions in regards to these executive orders. So that you guys were left out
Right.
of that House bill. And so, what it boils down to is if Attorney General Smith comes out with an Attorney General's opinion that says this is what you can do and how it will be limited or whatever the case may be, great. Take a look at it and, take that into consideration and a decision will be made. But as it stands right now, in my legal opinion and that of my colleagues for Decatur, Sherman, Wallace, Greeley, and as you have indicated, numerous other counties, the commissioners don't have jurisdiction to make this decision because it's specific to the school district. And another thing that you have to keep in mind too is that there are 2 school districts in Cheyenne County. And one of them extends over into another county.
And that county
so
is not going to follow suit either.
Well, and if the commissioners are going to make a decision, it has to be uniform for the whole county.
Oh, I agree.
So, you've got that to take into consideration also.
I didn't come here to try to change your mind or anybody's mind. Like I said,
No.
I just came to ask the question, so that way I had an affirmative and so I can start making my plans.
Well, trust me when I tell you this, we didn't know where we stood when we come in here this morning. I truly didn't. I was totally confused by the time I got here, just based on what I've heard through the community in the last few days. And it's so confusing.
It changes, honestly, by noon today,
Yeah.
they could be giving out different advice, which
Well,
makes it very challenging for her.
And see,
I.
that's the thing that drives us crazy when all they're forwarding is possible advice. Set down some ground rules. Tell us what you want to do and tell us how you want us to do it.
That would make things too simple.
No kidding, it's just unbelievable. And also, I read 2 days ago where our governor had made the comment that if things don't change this week, she may be looking going back to phase 2,
She's gonna,
which
yes.
will change everything all over again.
So just to kind of add to what you just said, last week, on Monday, the governor came out and made her announcement saying that all school districts will have masks, on how much it changes. On Tuesday, Kansas State Department of Education came out with their attorneys and said schools can legally opt out of this. Wednesday, the governor sent letters to all school districts with her attorneys saying, no, we cannot opt out of this. Thursday, KSD came out and said, we are working on it, so follow the governor's plan. Friday, the Attorney General came out and said schools can opt out. That was last week in itself. So trust me, I'm with you. If they're going to, I just wish they would say, you know what, until this goes to the Supreme Court, this is what we have to do. So then that way,
Well, I was always under the opinion that when the governor made an executive order, that was pretty well it, unless the Attorney General got into it and gave his opinions, or it went through the courts somehow and either got changed by the legislation. This thing is totally backwards. I mean, you could almost make your own rules. It's just, I don't understand it.
Well, and the fact that they have delegated the decision to 105 county attorneys, unless you have a district attorney, but you know what I'm saying, there's no consistency in regards to the decisions that will be made, and there's no precedent for this type of decision, other than what we basically know, which is you've got the county and you've got the school. And the school doesn't tell the county what to do, and the county doesn't tell the school what to do. That's the way it's always been.
trust me, I understand that, and it's going to be one of those times where this situation sounds to me like what they're saying is let the county take the heat for this one, but then as soon as this decision's over, we want to get all of our...
Yeah, because you don't want us meddling in your business after this decision.
Exactly.
And we don't want to meddle in your business. We got enough problems of our own. So we would really like to keep this thing as separate as we can between county government and the two unified school districts. I think we are supportive of whatever decision the two school boards makes, as long as it's the same, because we cannot make special exceptions for one school district over another in the same county. We can't.
And to be honest, when the governor came out and made her executive order, because that actually changed twice too.
Yeah.
Originally it was going to be 6 through 12.
Yeah.
I was completely fine with that. The only time that I started to be here like, ooh, I don't like that is when they made it a K-12.
Sure.
And that was where it's like, and I have a son that's going to be going into kindergarten. And when we went to Denver, we tried to get him to keep his masks on. And he did short of, I mean, he was doing it once he started to get tired and hot and crabby and so forth. I mean,
Well, we can all have the assumption that they're not going to be worn correctly with grade school kids. I mean,
so
that's just not going to happen.
I guess what I'm saying is I'm keeping my opinion out of this. I didn't come in here today to say this is what my opinion is and please do this. All I came in here to do was to ask the question, and I respect your guys' answer and decision. And
Yeah.
trust me, I'm not
Here's-
here to try to push blame onto anybody. I just wanted to be able to go to my board and say that I took every step.
No one wants to really make that final decision, I can tell you, because it's not going to be popular one way or the other.
No.
I mean, the community split. It may not be 50-50, but there's still those that believe one way over another. When is the Attorney General supposed to make this opinion? Does anybody know that?
It's fluid. Things like Mr. Pinka is saying, things change every day, and it's been this way since March.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
With everything.
With everything, and so you just sit there in anticipation of, okay, what is coming down next, and how are we going to handle this? And you only have so many hours because they don't give you much notice
No.
to get this taken care of. So as soon as that Attorney General's opinion is out, we'll be communicating. in regards to what it says and what can and cannot be done. But what must be understood is, as it stands now, the commissioners have done what they can to open the door for this decision to be independently made by each school district, by their school board, whereby there is not a mandate in Cheyenne County that you have to wear a mask.
Correct, but I'm just saying, I still cannot, based on how the executive orders have came
Right.
out, I cannot supersede this one just as a school district.
At this point.
At
because
this point,
because
unless the Attorney General.
Because of the interpretation has
Correct.
not been given that through whatever legislation has been enacted, that extended to the school boards. Because if you look at those interviews with Schmidt, he talks about counties opting out, and he also talks about schools opting out. And that's why I think there is some confusion, because the governor's office is saying no, schools do not have the authority to opt out, it's only counties. But Schmidt is, referring to the schools and their independent, through their board, could
And-
opt out.
And my guess is the reason he hasn't made one yet, because when they said Friday or early next week, is they're probably squabbling back and forth between, on how to interpret every sheet of paper, and then they're digging deeper and they're like, well, but we found this one which will cancel out this, and I would not want their job nor your job right
The
now.
only problem is we're running out of time here.
Right. From what I'm hearing from KSDE, if school, you could, whichever way you end up going, where you do the mask, don't do the mask, and from, according to the meeting yesterday where people were kind of putting it on there are very, very few that have the opportunity to opt out. I mean, we've pretty well just accepted that, that there's going to be masks, and one way or the other, if that's what we're being told we have to do, that's what we're going to have to do. But until this goes to the Supreme Court, they're saying that there's going to be bickering back and forth, and there's just
Right, but it
And
must
that'll
be
be-
understood that the people who are telling you are the governor's office and the executive orders. It's not the commissioners that are telling you that you have to wear masks. It is coming from Topeka.
correct.
Right.
I think the governor would come out here and go to my daughter's kindergarten class with 25 little kids and lift those masks up about 3 hours after they've had them on and find out what was under there. They would change the executive order. Especially during cold season.
Her response to that is she's not as worried about the little kids getting sick by it. It's that they will be carriers and take it home and continue to spread it that way is what her official response is. Trust me, I even told your son-in-law in the last board meeting, because the last board meeting I said at this point, just know that we are probably going to have to wear masks. And I said, unless something legally changes between now and then, just know that we're, start preparing mentally for it. And I told him, I just flat out said, and I feel really bad for K1 and 2.
Well, and I think we're in the very same position. We wished we had the power to make it so one way or the other, but legally, I don't think we can do that. That's sticking our neck out pretty far.
County up to liability.
Yeah,
Right.
we-
If I was in your shoes, I would have. This
I
would have
don't
been a
think we
quick
can.
conversation. I would have been like, we can't do
Yeah,
it.
but regardless of the liability, it's a matter of how does the law stand right now?
Mhm.
Where does the jurisdiction lie that the commissioners can trump a school board?
I think it's just that loophole in the executive order 2016 is what they're clinging to, because that's pretty much probably the only loophole that they've been able to find.
But it's not applicable to the second executive order she issued. It was just 259.
Well, 59 is the most recent in regards
Yeah.
to.
Okay, so it would have been 52.
In 52, yes, 52.
Yeah, and 52 is the one
And that's
where-
what that specifically was making reference to, not 59.
And 52 is the statewide mandate.
Mhm. Yeah,
Which we have, as county commissioners, have already said, no, we're not going to play that one.
we'll opt out.
will opt out. Which I guess at the time, we just figured the school board was their little entity and we weren't going to mess with it.
The governor covered her bases pretty well on Executive Order 2059. She really did. School boards cannot, I mean, it's specifically, school boards cannot opt out of that. The only little loophole they found was to try to
And that's
hide under
their
your umbrella.
That's their interpretation of it.
That, yes, you're right.
That's the sad part. Because quite honestly, we don't want to make that decision. And I know you don't either.
I was that way. I'm getting closer to where if we found a loophole, I would.
If we found a legitimate one,
Yes.
let's say, for instance, the Attorney General comes out with an opinion this afternoon, and it falls into the, hey, we're right behind you, man. But until that point in time, I think we better keep our mouths shut and stay out of it.
I'm good with that. I respect that. I really do. And there's no ill will on my part. I promise you, I'm not leaving here cussing any of you.
Well, you'd be the only one today, so.
I have a job very similar, so trust me.
Yeah, you know, we're totally understanding everybody's concerns. I mean, we're on board. We just don't know how to tackle it properly.
And there's no right or wrong answer. Whatever decision I make, you guys make with this whole thing, people are so far split. We send out surveys, and there's roughly 85% of the people are no mask, but the 15 that are pro-mask are way
Or just
over.
that.
They are very, very, there's some of them that are way over there, and there's some that are anti-mask that are way over there, and there's some that are in the middle. I sent one out with the teachers, and those numbers were surprising. Roughly 1/3 said we want the kids to wear masks. About 1/3 said absolutely no masks, and 1/3 were let's start with no masks, but we would like to keep the option open that the second there's a case that we mask up. So I mean, people are all over the board.
Well, for the kids that do want to wear them, they can. I mean, none is stopping them from doing
Correct.
that, right?
Correct. As of right now, the way it's looking, we're probably all going to have to mask up. But even if unless the Attorney General says something that changes that, but even if they do, yes, those kids would have the option. But the ones that are way over says that's not enough. And so, but like I said, I'm to the point where depending on what the Attorney General says, we're at a point where we could make a decision. I could take it to the board with a recommendation. But
Tough times.
it is, and I'm sorry for taking so much of your time. I felt that
We needed to have this discussion anyway, because we've been approached by
I'm sure.
locals and.
Because on social media, I've heard that I quit doing that a long time ago because being a public figure, people say too many nice things about you on there. No, I've heard that it's all over there that people are saying hit up your county commissioners and trust me, I feel bad for you guys. Because I'm getting hit up with the same stuff.
Right, but like you said, Mr. Pinka, there aren't many counties that have gone ahead and done that.
No, there's is the best I can tell you is based on two with absolute certainty, and 2 that they were pretty sure. I hadn't read anything on it, but when I called Scott City, he said both of Sabetha's districts and 2 and both of theirs opted out. He was pretty sure on that because they had something
They
to
opted
say.
out?
Yeah, the county commissioners came out and said that they're not.
Sheridan County has a resolution ready to opt out. Now, whether they do it, I don't know.
Sheridan does.
Yeah,
Okay.
according to their clerk anyways.
So, the only one in our area, so that would be another one in our area, but the closest one was Scott County, and that's been about it over here. Butler came out and they were 5-5 on it.
Well, let's do this. When's your first day of school?
20th,
August 20th, so that gives us roughly,
3 weeks.
yeah.
And honestly, this conversation we're having when the Attorney General comes out could make all this a moot
And see,
point.
that's one of the reasons I'm hesitant about, because, again, trying to keep our personal feelings out of it and do what's best and correct. We've got a little time here to see how it shakes out. If he comes out with an opinion, maybe we'll need to call a special meeting again and come in and look at what we can and cannot do.
I'm good with that, yeah.
Well, I think I'm more comfortable doing that than trying to make some decision that's based in uncertainty.
Mhm.
Well, the thing of it is, you know, what I do is I advise. I give an opinion. It's the commissioner's decision.
Sure, but it would behoove us, because I'm convinced you're making those decisions in our best interest. So based on that, we're going to follow along with the lead Leslie takes. But, yeah,
I respect that.
with the understanding that, yeah, hey, this could all change on Monday.
Heck, they could change at 3 o'clock today.
Exactly. I was going to say, they like Fridays.
They do. They like to kick the hornet's nest and then all leave the office
Yeah.
for the weekend.
And it's like, oh, let them stew over this
Well,
one.
let's keep in contact.
Okay.
Let's see what develops over the next week, and then we'll revisit it and see where we're at.
All right, sounds great.
I'm sorry we can't give you more certainty than that.
No, I just appreciate your time. Trust me, I have a lot of respect for you guys' position just because I have one that's very similar and there's no ill will on my part at all.
Well,
so.
we would never believe that there would be, but there are those that's going to have some.
Oh, that goes with our jobs though.
Yeah.
More people are going to get mad if we don't make decisions than if we make one that goes against them. It's what I've learned as an administrator. So do as much research as you can, do as much homework as you can, and make the best recommendation that you can.
Well put. I think that's what we're going to have to do.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Have a good day.
Well, good luck.
Good luck with this.
Yes.
Let's take about a 2-minute break.
Sounds good.
Hang on just.
Confused me, I don't, you said some of these counties are opting out of what?
The executive order.
The Executive Order 2059 regarding the schools.
But I thought they said they couldn't do that.
Nobody from the fair board, so we could recess until 1:30.
Fair board's not coming?
Nobody's here, so they're supposed to be here
Of course,
20 minutes ago, so.
All right, that sounds good to me.
Come back at 1:30.
Recess until 1:30, and then we'll resume the meeting this afternoon with John Mapes with our budget. Fair motion for,
Motion to dismiss till 1:30.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye. Go get some lunch then. It's too early.
Call it brunch.
I'm not a brunch kind of guy.
Oh, come on.